I'm gonna just get myself a little bit more relaxed. I mean, I probably should undo that button too. That motherfucker screaming. That YouTube tell you if you cuss in the first 15 seconds, your video not gonna make it. So sorry, YouTube. But welcome to another episode of The Inside Perspective. We're growing, and I say we as in me and the work that I've been doing, and we is the Inside Perspective and me. I have so many ideas and thoughts and everything just flowing through my head and through my brain all the time that it's been making me severely anxious. And right now I'm in one of those anxiety-ridden states. I have my little squish ball. That helps me out. But I'm just going to jump right into what I want to discuss, right? And it really comes down to identity and the terms and words or whatever that we use to identify ourselves with. But I'm going to go back to younger Lee, little Lee. And first off, hey girl, love you. Secondly, when I was younger, I didn't think much about like the fact that I was black, but let me unpack that mostly, right? So I always seen myself as my mother's daughter, my brother's sister, you know, the coach's player, the saxophonist, the hooper. Like, it's not that I didn't know I was black, like I got that part. It was just that wasn't the main thing that I used to define myself, and nor was it the main thing that, you know, my mom used to define us as a family. Of course, I had the talk that I'm assuming most young black children or kids have whenever, you know, they're letting you know about how the world will treat you, how you'll be looked at sideways, you have to work, you know, twice as hard to get half of whatever. Like, I had that talk and I understood that. And I didn't think much about my identity as a child at all. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, I don't know, but that's just my personal experience. I didn't think much about my identity. Even once I got into middle school, it just wasn't like on the forefront of my brain. But it wasn't until, honestly, I got to college to where I started to unpack, like, what does it mean for me to be a black woman? Like, and not what does the world understand black women as and acting in that, but like, what does being a black woman mean to me? And I feel like I probably had that once I was in like my junior year, but I took this amazing class my freshman year that was about Ashada Shakur, and we read her autobiography. And I learned so much about just standing on your shit. Like, I didn't learn a lot of black history until I got to college, and that's what encouraged me to start thinking about my identity and who and what I stand for. And so I was really thankful for that class, and I was thankful for the people that I had in that class because they really was spitting they shit. Like, when it came to, you know, identity politics, and they was saying how they felt, and they was cussing in class, I was like, oh, this is new. This is new. But whenever we think about identity and how it's used to determine how somebody will treat somebody, if that makes sense. Come on, now you knew you was my other lighting. Come back. Thank you. But yeah, identity. So whenever we talked about identity in that course, we talked about how police may view black people in a particular manner just based off of the understanding that they've allowed themselves to have from their perspective. Meaning that black people aren't believable, they aren't trustworthy, they're liars, they're this, they're that, they're manipulative. And so like, if you have that perspective of somebody just based on how you see them, you're gonna treat them a particular way because of that. And I just wanted to throw that part in there. I guess it came to my mind, but ultimately I want to jump back into like me and my identity, right? And so as of recent, I've been thinking about my gender identity, and the fact that sexuality and gender are a spectrum. And for me, when it comes to my identity, the first thing I think about is the fact that I'm a human. Like, that I'm a human being, like a homo sapien. A homo sapien. Like, that's what I think of first. And I was watching this TikTok the other day of this podcast. I forget bro's name, but he was on Jane the Virgin. And he was talking to somebody who was gender non-conforming, non-binary. And they were speaking to the point of, at the end of it all, like, when we revert back and we take away the ideology of the heteropatriarchy, that we all technically are non-binary beings. Like, we're binary beings, maybe. I'm probably not delivering it, especially the same way they were, because they had that shit on lock. And it really made me think about the fact, like, when I was growing up, I never really thought about, like, oh, I'm a woman or I'm a black person. I just was like, I'm a human being. Jeez. But being in this world, and at the younger age that I had, having that mindset was honestly really dangerous. Because without the knowledge that I have now, I would not be equipped to defend myself when it comes to defending my identity. And so I think about the different parts of my identity, the fact that I am black, the fact that I am a woman, and then when it comes down to my sexuality, like, now it's like, like, I used to call it the triple threat in college, because in college, whenever I really was open about sharing my sexuality, because I felt like part of it defined me. Like, if I explained to somebody what my sexual orientation was, that it would help them understand me. Like, that, I feel like that's what I'm getting towards as well. I feel like a lot of times whenever we use these identity things, it's to help people understand us. Sometimes that's okay. Other times I'm like, fuck you, or you don't need to understand me. You know how many times I've been asked the question, what are you? What are you? I'd be like, a human being. But if you're trying to question my genitalia, that's none of your fucking business. Like, identity and sexuality, a spectrum. Identity and gender, a spectrum. Shit, maybe identity when it comes to race. Now, is that more like boom, boom? Like, is that when we start hitting check boxes? Like, I'm not coming to y'all as if I have all the answers, but it's genuinely just an inquiry and just provoking thought. Like, I really want y'all to sit down and think, like, what part of your identity do you really resonate with? And do you resonate with it because it helps somebody else understand you, and are you okay with that? Or do you not want to have a label? Some people were like, well, saying you're no label is a label. You're gonna piss me off, bro. Like, I'm breaking down who and what I want to be based off of the interworkings of my body. And at the end of the day, I hate that I have to say it this way, but if you take away my womanhood, you take away my blackness, you take away whatever, I'm a human being. I'm a human fucking being. And I feel like we came up with these labels and these boxes, one, to just help people, ignorant people mostly. Like, there's some people that the labels genuinely help them understand and they're not an asshole, but there's other people, like, for instance, I was at the doctor's office and I was at the gynecologist and she was asking me, like, about, like, my recent, sexual history or whatever, and she asked me if I was still with the same partner, and I just was like, well, I ain't been here in, like, 2 years, which was also a problem, but, like, no. I said I've had a few partners in between, and she was like, oh, okay, then we'll get you tested. For one, that pissed me off, because even if I was only seeing the same fucking partner, test me, bitch, I don't care. Two, whenever I told her that sometimes that she was saying that certain STD tests that I didn't have to take because I was only sleeping with women, which I was like, who gave you your credentials, because it's stupid. I just heard R. Kelly. That's stupid, man. Is this camera on me? Like, stupid. And so then that's what was like, well, no, I still do have sex with men or people who have penises. So, like, it's not necessarily that I only... She was like, oh, so you're a lesbian? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, then you're... So then that's when I explained to her that I had sex with men and women. And she was like, oh, so you're bisexual? And I just was like... If that's what you need to put down, like, as a category, then, like, absolutely go for it. And she was like, well, by the book, if you have sex with men and women, then you're bisexual. And I was like, no, this bitch isn't. And I was like, you can put down whatever you need to. However, I prefer not to, like, say, I'm pan, I'm bi, I'm this. I don't care. If we click, we click. Whatever's between your legs, I shall find out later. And I just really, it really bugged me that she had to put me in this category in order to determine the type of health care that I would receive. And so, yes, it's very important to be honest with your doctor and speak as openly as possible with your doctor, because there are certain exams and tests that you may need further with, but I just really didn't like the fact that she was putting me in this, like, oh, well, then you're bisexual. And it's like, I'm not. Like, I don't identify with that. But because that's how the world understands shit to be, that's what you're going to put on me. So that's more so what I'm trying to get to whenever I talk about, like, identity and the problems that I have with it. I don't like when people just try to identify me with the basic understanding that they think they have of the LGBTQIA plus community. Because I'm a person, I don't care what's between your legs. I need to know how this is. And I've probably said that multiple times, and I'm going to say it every fucking episode if I can. She grinded my gears. It actually has my heart beating a little faster because of it. And I kind of want to jump back into... Because I was talking to my friend, my lady, about this, and she had asked me, like, so would you hold your race or your gender higher? And I was like, what? How am I supposed to do that? And initially, the first thing I went for is, like, my womanhood. I was like, I can bring life into this world. Like, I can grow life. Like, what? But I can never and will never negate my blackness, because at the end of the day, that's the first thing people see. Half the time they think I'm a nigga when they see me. I mean, they think I'm a dude, and so I'm like, if I had the choice, like, if I really had to, I told her that, like, I'd pick my womanhood over my race, but it'd be really difficult to not be able to pick my race, because that's the first thing that people pick up on when they see me. I'm black. But I went into the fact that I'm really trying to remove the heteropatriarchy ideology out of my mind. And with doing that, I really want to step into my womanhood, bro, like, and redefine what it means to be a woman. Like, y'all, dead ass, maybe 60, 50, 70 years ago, we couldn't even get a bank account. We couldn't even get a checking account. Like, and then it's like, it's super hard to pick, and it's damn near impossible, because I can go on and on and on about the things that black people have not been able to do. From not being able to walk down the street to not being able to sleep in your own fucking bed. So identity is very important in certain aspects of life, but I feel like there are other parts to where you can kind of just stop trying to box people in. Like, stop trying to create as many alphabets, as many letters to the LGBTQIA. Like, we're gonna keep adding shit because there are numerous, like, a gabillion, dillion ways of being, of existing in life. And if we keep trying to come up with the boxes to put people in, bro, you'll be doing this forever. You'll be doing this forever. Like, basically the same way every time somebody put out a statement, a black person is killed. sadly enough, I hope that we won't be doing this forever, but like, you're just gonna keep having to do that. How about you just stop trying to put me in a box? How about fucking that? But like I said, sometimes it's important. Sometimes it's really important. Because I'm going to stand in my blackness. Always. And forever. I'm going to stand in my womanhood. Always and forever. One of the biggest parts of my identity that I love and connect with the most is the fact that I am a black woman. But what connects with me deeper is the fact that I am a human on this earth. And that just resonates with me more. Take it, leave it, argue with me about it. I don't give a shit. But I really want y'all to challenge yourselves of trying to understand people based on their character instead of who they sleep with. Because how does that help you understand a person if you know who they have sex with? Like, I'm so dead ass. So if you know that I sleep with men, now what? You're gonna treat me differently? I sleep with men and women. Oh, now I'm a whore and I'm greedy. Okay. I don't know. Shit. Maybe I should go live with this topic because I want some back and forth. I want some understand. I want people to be throwing their shit at me too. Because it's crazy how I feel so much better now that I've gotten that off my chest. Sometimes I really don't know how to go about episodes, and I don't like structuring them or like having like a notepad and writing down like I'm gonna hit this. No, y'all finna get the inside perspective. Like how this shit is coming to me in my mind is going to come out on this fucking screen, bro. Like that's just that. When it comes to my identity of being a black person, it's scary. Like it is terrifying sometimes, most times, being a black person. Like if I really were to sit and be stopped by the fears of life by being a black person, I wouldn't be living. Because like I said, homes raided, killed on the street, killed in the cemetery, killed if you have a toy gun, killed if you don't, killed from a misunderstanding. Like, that is terrifying. But I will never, ever, ever forget the fact that blackness itself is power, is royalty, is strength. I think about everything that my ancestors have been through, have grown through, have painfully brought themselves through to be here, for me to be here. To fight for the fact that we are human and deserve to be seen and treated equally. I will always fight that fight. Always. Because at the end of the day, we are human. But you're never going to catch me saying, there's only one race, the human race. You're racist. Shut up. Like, no. By saying that, you're negating the fact, you're dismissing, you're disrespecting the reality of people of color and what we experience. My favorite thing that I always used to see is that it's this video, and it was like, raise your hand if you would trade places with a black person today. Raise your hand. That room was loaded a motherfucker. Like, just raise your hand. Like, but then I don't know what it will take in this world when it comes to identity, and I definitely want to hone in on this shit again, but I don't know what it will take in this world for people to understand the fact that we are humans traumatizing each other, all because we refuse to acknowledge history. That window is pissing me off. And part of me thinks even once we do acknowledge history, like not banning, history in classrooms, not taking away the ability to learn about the truth of things, will it be enough? Like, would it be enough? Like, I could sit down and give y'all a whole lecture of black history, blackness, identity as a black person, as a black woman. Like find somebody to give us a history on Jewish people who have suffered from violence, survivors of violence. Like, we could have that conversation. We could break it all down, probably right in front of the fucking government if we wanted to. They'll just gaslight you into thinking that what you feel is only based on you and there's nothing else anybody else can do about it, because that's just your perspective. I don't want to get too deep into this, but why not? I don't know. When it comes to identity, especially the spectrum of sexuality, stop trying to think that you can understand somebody just because of who they have sex with. You're dumb as fuck. 2, stop thinking that you need to understand what somebody has between their legs or how they just choose to identify themselves to figure out how you want to treat them. You're fucking weird. 3, be fucking nicer to people, bro. And understand that shit changes. Somebody can change their pronouns tomorrow because that's what they feel. Emotions that, a lot of us try to push aside and shove down and act like they don't exist. We're brave enough to understand and acknowledge what we feel inside and to pursue it. That's strength. Now, pretending and faking the funk, bogus. So mind your fucking business and treat people with respect, because at the end of the day, we're all humans on this earth. Be nicer. Please.